Bill and the numerous other witnesses watched the creature swim for about a minute before it disappeared under the water, leaving a substantial wake. What in the hell? It looks like that baby alien that burst out of that dude's stomach in the movie Alien. Remember that? Holy shit, that's a fucking dragon's head. He said, "It wasn't until we got home, got looking at it, and zoomed in on it that we were all puzzled as to what that could possibly be." The moonlight dances on the still waters of Lake Okanagan, casting an eerie glow that seems to awaken the secrets buried beneath its depths. Here, in the heart of Canada's tranquil landscape, whispers of an ancient enigma echo through time. A legend cloaked in mystery emerges from the shadows, and its name resonates like a shiver in the wind. Ogopogo, 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 Ogopogo. In the hushed embrace of night, where ripples blend with darkness, Ogopogo's tale begins. The very air seems to hold its breath, as if unwilling to reveal the secrets held within the depths. For generations, locals have shared hushed tales of a creature lurking in the waters, its presence a lingering mystery that defies all explanation. Beneath the surface, hidden from prying eyes, Ogopogo resides as an embodiment of the unknown. Its origins lost to the passage of time. The legend swells with every eerie tale whispered around campfires and every hushed conversation in lakeside taverns. The lake's depths hold their secrets tightly, secrets that reach into the human psyche and stir the imagination. As we embark on this journey, we find ourselves standing on the precipice of the unexplainable. A trek that delves deep into the heart of the legend, seeking not only to unveil the truth, but also to embrace the chilling allure of the uncharted. Ogopogo, a creature of lore and mystery, beckons us to explore its realm, to question reality, and to dance with the eerie unexplored that lies beneath the surface of the waters. To truly understand the mysterious allure of Ogopogo, we must journey back to the very roots of this legend. A legacy of sacred narratives that intertwine with the waters of Lake Okanagan. Lake Okanagan gets its name from the indigenous peoples who have inhabited the region for thousands of years. The lake is located in British Columbia, Canada, and it holds great significance for the Okanagan First Nations, who have lived in the area for generations. The tales of Ogopogo go back for centuries. The Shuswap and Okanagan people tell of a terrifying creature that inhabits the lake. They call it the Inhaik, which means water demon. As the legend goes, a highly respected elderly man of the community was murdered by a deranged man possessed by a demonic spirit. According to the lore, the gods smote the evil man and transformed him into a giant serpent, forcing him to live forever at the scene of this horrible crime. Native American legends tell of sacrifices that must be made in the form of live animals to ensure safe passage on the lake. Natives would bring chickens and other live animals with them in their canoes and throw them overboard to appease the beast. There are stories of foolhardy non-believers who suffered the wrath of Inhahaik. Chief Tim Basket was visiting from a nearby village and refused to offer a sacrifice, saying he didn't believe Inhahaik was real. Upon entering the lake with his canoe and his family, Inhahaik whipped up the surface of the lake with its long tail. The canoe and its occupants were sucked to the bottom of the lake and never seen again. Local tribe members say that Inhahaik exists in the Okanagan stories, and they have a word for him. If he wasn't real and didn't exist, they wouldn't have a word for him. The English name for the monster, Ogopogo, came from an English music hall song called the Ogopogo Song. No, I'm not going to sing it. The creature is said to dwell in the caves under Snake Island, which is also known as Monster Island. The most consistent aspect of Ogopogo is its description. Generally speaking, it looks like a giant snake. It's got a slick, glossy, dark skin. It swims by undulating up and down in the water. It measures 40 feet in length, with some sightings of it up to 70 feet long. Its head is nearly 3 feet wide and resembles an animal head, like a goat or a horse, with horns coming out of its head. What the fuck? Its head is commonly seen to rise up out of the water like a periscope. Its tail tapers to a point, similar to a snake. Many people say it looks like a floating log that just comes alive. Even if you don't know what it looks like, you'll know it when you see it. There have been hundreds of sightings of Ogopogo in the last 150 years. Some times of the year have more, and some times of the year are less. According to locals, from the last week of August till the first week of October is when it's seen the most. So this is the time to see him. Ogopogo tends to show up when the lake is flat, like glass. The monster also seems to show up more frequently when there are no boats around. There have been way more sightings of Ogopogo than there have been of the Loch Ness monster. There are so many, I can't even get close to going over them all. The video would be 3 hours long and it would take me a month to edit it. So I'll just give you the highlights, the really good ones. We've already established that Native Americans spotted it first. The first non-Native American sighting was in 1855. Settler and skeptic John McDougall was taking some supplies and horses to a spot across the lake. Halfway across the lake, as his horses were swimming along, they were suddenly sucked down into the water by an unknown force. His canoe, which was tied to them, also nearly tipped over before he cut the line. The next reported sighting was by Susan Allison in 1872. She was a BC pioneer and author and was walking the shore near her home in West Kelowna. At first glance, she thought it was some kind of a dinosaur. Susan was very specific in her description of seeing a large snake-like creature, which closely mirrored the local native legend about the monster. She watched in awe as it undulated across the lake. During the late 1800s and into the early 1900s, there were numerous sightings and documented reports by both white settlers and Native Americans. As you would expect, the legend of Ogopogo continued to grow. This isn't a sighting, but it's interesting to note. In the late 1800s, a vertebrate bone was found in Okanagan Lake, which was thought to be from a whale. It ended up missing from the museum it was being showcased in. Was the museum the Smithsonian? Scientists were not able to determine what species it was from or how it even got into the lake. In 1926, 30 cars full of people on the shore of Lake Okanagan spotted the lake monster. This equated to over 70 people who say they saw the exact same thing. They witnessed something that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. A series of huge serpentine humps rose and fell through the calm lake waters, cutting a large wake behind them. All the witnesses agreed that the humps must belong to the lake's resident monster, Ogopogo, making this one of the most credible monster sightings ever documented. This sighting was even reported in the Vancouver Sun newspaper. Incidentally, this sighting occurred 7 years before the first sighting of the Loch Ness monster. A couple of decades later, in 1947, another mass sighting of Ogopogo occurred. On July 2nd, people aboard a group of several different boats reported seeing an unusual creature simultaneously. The beast was described as 30 feet long with 5 undulations. The undulations were separated by about 2 feet. These detailed, multiple witness accounts have helped to set Ogopogo apart from other legendary creatures. Many cryptozoologists consider the evidence for Ogopogo as much stronger than the evidence for his notorious Scottish cousin, Nessie. When the bridge crossing Lake Okanagan was under construction in the mid-1950s, divers who helped build it told stories of large aquatic animals they were not able to identify swimming close by. It frightened some into quitting, while others would discount it as being nothing but a large sturgeon. Yeah, I'm sure that's all it was. The latter theory was more comfortable to live with, as the divers still had a job to do. In October of 1978, Bill Stachek, a staunch skeptic of Ogopogo, was crossing the bridge on Okanagan Lake, heading towards Kelowna, when he saw something strange moving out on the lake. He came to a screeching halt right in the middle of the road and got out to get a better look at it. 20 or so other motorists also stopped and joined him by the railing. They couldn't believe what they were looking at. They testified that they saw a head sticking out of the water with 3 large black humps behind it, about 190 feet away from them. Bill and the numerous other witnesses watched the creature swim for about a minute before it disappeared under the water, leaving a substantial wake. The sighting made a believer out of Bill. Moreover, the experience prompted him to dedicate his life to hunting for Ogopogo. He has organized numerous expeditions on the lake over the years and created the website ogopogoquest.com for folks to report sightings of the monster. Basically, he became completely obsessed. In late July of 1986, John was paddling a canoe near Ellison Provincial Park, and his two girls, 8 and 10 years old, were trolling for fish. Since it was dusk and the stars were beginning to be visible, they began to paddle toward the beach to head back to camp. It was a warm night. The lake was as smooth as glass, and it was a very quiet evening with no motorboaters. They were about 100 yards away from the beach when they noticed a round object on the water. The object wasn't moving. Thinking it was something like an inner tube, John decided to paddle over and investigate. As he approached, the first thing he noticed was a strong fishy smell. It could still be an inner tube. When the bow of the canoe was within 3 feet or so of the object, he noticed it was about 1 foot wide by 4 foot long and had 2 rows of arrowhead-shaped scales running the length of its back, and it was dark green in color. They sat there for a few seconds, and he asked the kids to reel in their lines. They heard a kind of a moaning or a low growling noise. They suddenly realized that about 5 to 10 yards further ahead, there was a large head facing away from them, silhouetted against the darkening sky. The head appeared to be about the size of a horse's head, and it appeared to have horizontal, conical-shaped structures, like horns. His kids turned to ask what this was, and he said jokingly, "The Ogopogo." At this juncture, realizing what he had just said, his hair stood straight up, and his older daughter freaked out. She demanded that they head to shore. The creature appeared to notice they were there and slowly moved away. It didn't move with any undulations, but moved slowly with the head and hump in the same position. Its movement seemed consistent with the idea of a large body under the water, and most likely under his canoe. That's not good. After moving off about 50 yards, it turned as if to take a look at them and then submerged. This whole incident lasted about 2 minutes. He did have a camera in the boat with him, but was just too shocked to think of trying to use it. They have often returned to Ellison Park to camp and paddle, but they have never seen anything like that again. The fella I talked about earlier, Bill Stachek, had another sighting. Ironically, it wasn't during one of his many boating expeditions in search of the creature. It was while he was sitting on the balcony of his Kelowna condo facing Lake Okanagan. On May 24th, 2015, at approximately 6 p.m., he spotted a large, snake-like head pop up out of the water about 160 yards from shore. He quickly grabbed his camera and started snapping pictures. He captured an image of an odd, round object breaking through the lake's glassy surface. He's convinced it's a shot of Ogopogo. Man, that's weird as fuck. I need to zoom in on that though. The object stayed in the same spot for almost a full minute, rotating its head as if looking around. Oh, there we go. What in the hell? It looks like that baby alien that burst out of that dude's stomach in the movie Alien. Remember that? After a minute, It rose out of the water, displaying its head and a portion of its neck before diving and disappearing beneath the water. Bill believes the lake may be home to dozens of the elusive serpents. He said that the theory is that eons ago, this lake was connected to the ocean. I think it still is via underwater caves and tunnels. Andrew was sitting on the shore of Bluebird Bay on a quiet Sunday afternoon on September 9th, 2018. He's an amateur photographer and loves catching images of the photogenic lake. A large, moving object suddenly reared out of the lake and moved quickly from left to right in his view. He quickly snapped a picture. "Look at the size of that fucking thing." That's what she said. As you can see in this picture, there's a boat in the distance, but nothing else. Certainly no boats large enough to kick up such a wake. There was also no tremor recorded in Okanagan on that day that would kick the lake up like that. So what the fuck is this? June 2019. Jim LaRock and his family headed to the lake. It was 86 degrees and the lake water was like glass. While Jim's son paddleboarded, something terrifying emerged from the water. Jim heard the swishing sound of something. Grabbing his camera, he filmed what looked like 7 humps gliding across the surface behind his son just feet away. A huge and ominous presence was in the water. His son turned and saw a flipper come out of the water and splash down. After seeing it, he paddled as fast as he could back towards shore. He noped the fuck out of there. Jim will never forget the vision of the creature he estimated at 120 feet long. He said the underside of it was white and the other side was dark. I describe it as like a dragon boat race with the oars. So if you flip the dragon boat upside down, you would see all those oars coming up out of the water. Jim took the video to 3 different scientists. All 3 were at a loss as to what was captured. You can clearly see something coming out of the water. Man, that's freaky as hell. Most recently, in October of 2022, Dan Hanchar, along with his wife Colleen and their friend Myrna, were on the last sail of the season out on Okanagan Lake. They were enjoying an unseasonably warm day on the water when they caught sight of something in the water they couldn't explain. At first, he thought it was a log. He stated, "As a boater, I was just looking to see if this is something dangerous that needs to be marked so somebody doesn't run into it, like a deadhead or something like that." I guess Grateful Dead fans are bad boat drivers? We went on by and I got to thinking about it and I said to Myrna and my wife, "That didn't look right. We've got to take a look at that again." He told Colleen to get her camera ready and turn the boat around. He managed to get the sailboat to within 10 feet of the object, and Colleen took a photo. This is what they captured. Holy shit, that's a fucking dragon's head. He said, "It wasn't until we got home, got looking at it and zoomed in on it that we were all puzzled as to what that could possibly be." He said, "You know, we kind of eliminated what it wasn't in our heads. Yeah, like a log." He said that the head was at least 3 feet wide. He continued, "That's why I thought if if it was Ogopogo sleeping, I don't want to be here. There have been many sightings of multiple Ogopogos at the same time. Since it's been spotted for over 150 years, it would make sense that there's a small breeding population of the Ogopogo living in the lake. They're more than likely nesting in the caves under Rattlesnake Island. As you can probably guess, there are a number of explanations for the sightings of Ogopogo. They range from completely natural to wildly intriguing. I'll start with the skeptical explanations. Here we go. The favorite go-to response from scoffers is it's a mistaken identity. They claim that folks are just seeing otters, beavers, waterfowl, schools of fish, logs floating on the water, and just simply waves. These things do live and occur in the lake. I believe a few of the sightings can be attributed to these. However, most of the sightings are reported by people who have lived near the lake their entire lives. They know the difference between something they've seen in the lake countless times before and something that defies all conventions. Ooh, yeah! Some non-believers have even tried to contest that what everyone is seeing is a lake sturgeon. But the lake sturgeon have never been spotted or caught in Lake Okanagan. In fact, there is currently a $10,000 reward for anyone who can provide concrete proof of a sturgeon in the lake. That reward still hasn't been claimed. Besides that, sturgeons are bottom dwellers. They would never come to the surface and swim around. Okay, now that we've debunked the debunkers, let's move on to some interesting theories. The first, just like Nessie, Ogopogo is thought to be a previously extinct dinosaur, like a plesiosaur. This critter matches the size, description, and locomotion of Ogopogo. The plesiosaur supposedly went extinct 66 million years ago. Another similar belief is that the Ogopogo is a basilosaurus. Basilosaurus is a large predatory whale that presumably went extinct 34 million years ago. Its size, body shape, and movement, like that of a sea serpent, match exactly with the Ogopogo. Although skeptics endeavor to dismiss centuries of eyewitness reports, often questioning the veracity of the accounts, mass sightings present a different challenge altogether. The three significant mass sightings mentioned earlier transcend the realm of individual anecdotes. They stand as undeniable markers of a collective experience, impossible to brush aside with mere skepticism. When scores of people share an identical vision witnessed in the same location at the exact same moment in time, the ground shifts beneath the realm of disbelief. The ripple of awe and uncertainty that accompanies these mass sightings is a testament to the power of a shared experience. The news headlines, photographs, and documented reactions all crystallize around these remarkable events. The convergence of the human perception paints a vivid picture of a creature, Ogopogo, existing not just in the recesses of individual minds, but in the collective consciousness of a community and beyond. While skeptics may attempt to decipher rational explanations, they cannot undo the impact of a collective encounter. An experience that transcends the boundaries of conventional belief systems. As the sun sets over the tranquil waters of Lake Okanagan, the mystery of Ogopogo remains. The centuries-old whispers, the cultural tapestry, the scientific inquiries, and the mass sightings all coalesce into an enduring enigma that invites us to contemplate the profound connections between belief, perception, and the unknown. Thank you for hanging out with me during this lake monster expedition. And an aquatic monster thank you for watching this far into my video. Good old Ogopogo. What do y'all think? Is it a real critter? Or are all these people smoking too much of their crop? Let me know in the comments. Lake monsters, like Ogopogo, have been spotted all over the world. It's been said that they can swim through underwater tunnels to get to the ocean. If that's true, maybe they're using them to get from lake to lake, and there's actually not as many as we think. Or, conversely, there's a lot more of them that we don't even know about yet. Until next time, stay creepy!